It's Next Chapter, planning your retirement story. Back on the track with you with Stephen Sabo, financial advisor at Executive Financial Group, and I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull. Stephen and his family have been serving the greater Pittsburgh area for a long time at Executive Financial Group, so get in touch with them at executivefinancialgroup.com or dial them up, 724-283-2806. And they're on Facebook and YouTube, some other places as well, Executive Financial Group. Stephen, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Doug. I can't complain. You know, I think we were just talking about it during our little break here, but it's April in Pennsylvania. So Last week it was nice and warm and sunny, and this morning I woke up and there was a flurry out my window. So I'm dealing with that, but we're getting closer. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know the warm weather's right around the corner. My grass has grown like a weed, but it seems like it's too cold to go out and cut it right now anyway. So,
that's the conundrum right there. And then soon it'll feel too hot to even want to cut it. Then you got to get, you got to get around that. So, Stephen, but you mentioned that with the spring thaw going on, that means got baseball season here. I saw some beautiful pictures recently, I think it was on social media or one of the MLB broadcasts of people showing PNC Park, how beautiful it is right there on the rivers. But also, too, you got a chance here to go to a Pittsburgh Penguins game, and you were hoping you'd see history at it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So next week I am headed to the Pittsburgh Penguins game, and they are playing the Washington Capitals. And I was really hoping to see, like you said, some history being made with Alexander Ovechkin beating Wayne Gretzky's record. Unfortunately, he already surpassed that, so congratulations to him. But it's still going to be amazing to see not only him, but the legends on the Penguins, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, those guys. It's been an incredible run watching them play each other over the years. So I'm really excited to watch this.
I was in early college when both Crosby and Ovechkin entered the NHL. And by the way, those are like the two NHL players I can name. I do not follow hockey at all. I would have thought that Sidney Crosby would be right up there near the scoring record. Is it more that his position doesn't lend itself to a ton of scoring, or has it been the injuries? Because I know he had some really big setbacks too.
Yeah, there was a pretty good period in time where he had an injury that kept him out for majority of one season, and I think that is probably what did it. He's still an incredible player, probably one of the best to ever do it. Yeah. But he was out a handful of games. Don't want to make excuses. Like I said, Alexander Ovechkin, although I don't like to admit it, he is an incredible hockey player, and this was a well-deserved thing. So.
No deal. Yeah, he took down the great one, Wayne Gretzky, all right?
That's right.
So really, really incredible feat there. And we're recording this on April the 8th, by the way. So by the time you hear it, Stephen will have already gone to the game, and this record will have been 2 or 3 weeks old. But nonetheless, that went down here very recently, and it's truly a tremendous feat there. Just you don't see a lot of all-time records of that stature go down, and big congrats to him. You were trying to time going to a Penguins game with the Washington Capitals to maybe see history. Kind of reminds me of people trying to time the market, Stephen, but it also reminds me of when people kind of seize up and they don't know which game to go to or which part of the market to deal with. Here's another bit of analysis paralysis, all right? Apparently Gen Z workers who are slightly younger than us, okay, we're in our 30s, but Gen Z workers are falling to analysis paralysis about what to wear to work because their careers started remotely during the pandemic. Now they're having to go back to work. So they're dealing with either they don't know, they've been so used to wearing, hoodies and torn up jeans everywhere that they can't, that they're having to change for the office, or they just are not used to having to choose. And so Eloise Skinner says in the New York Post, a psychotherapist and founder of the Purpose Workshop, she told Fortune actually that Zoomers have expressed some level of confusion, quote unquote, about what to wear to work, given that they started at home in their pajamas. And so some are opting for the late Steve Jobs idea of just, hey, I'm wearing the same black turtleneck and gray pants every day. Some are actually doing that very thing. Others are just deciding, hey, I'm going to, have the same 5 outfits I wear every day. Now, it's funny how TikTok influencers seem to speak for a whole generation. I don't think there's actually a ton of people dealing with this, Stephen.
Yes.
But nonetheless, people are suffering from analysis paralysis. And when I get up at 5:45 in the morning, I hate having to think about my clothes then. I try to do that the night before. But it reminds me of, especially with all the noise we're hearing in the market right now, and it's up and it's down, and there's all these different options. Stay in, pull out, ride it out. Oh my God, your 401k is crap. Oh my God, don't look at your 401k. There's all sorts of stuff that people could get in their heads, and how do they cut through all the noise, Stephen?
Yeah, Doug, you made a great point there. There is a lot, and especially right now, there's a lot of chatter, like you said, with the markets over the last few days, what's been happening around the tariffs and the announcement of that and everything like that. And the markets have been tanking for a couple of days in a row. And then today, they started out booming. They're coming back a little bit. So like you said, what do you do? How do you make these decisions? And one of the things that we try and do is help take these decisions off the table for people. They're coming to me for a reason because they don't know what to do, So if I'm sitting there giving them more decisions to make, it's going to, they're not going to ever make any decisions at all. And then, a lot of the time they end up stuck or in a bad place because of it. And so, what we try and do whenever we meet with people is they come to us. We want to know as much as possible about what it is, what type of decision that you have to make. We want to know as much as possible so that we can take it all off the table for you and say, hey, look, based on what you told us, based on, all the things that we discussed in our meeting, this is the direction that we would go. This is exactly what we would do and have you do. At the end of the day, it's their decision. They can say, no, I don't like that for whatever reason. But most of the time, people come to us because they don't know what to do. And so, again, if I add in another layer of decisions, they're not going to do anything at all. So a lot of the time, what we try to do is be clear, concise, and keep it simple with them. Hey, here's how we're going to do it. We don't need all the financial jargon and the fluff in there. I want them to know the meat and bones of it and make sure they understand what it is that we're doing for them and why and how it's going to benefit them in the near term and in the long run. So, take those things off the table, make it simple for the clients, and move forward. Not a lot of back and forth, and try and say, hey, look, this is why. Believe you came to me for a reason. Trust me, I'm going to do the right thing for you, and we're going to work through this together. So.
Now, not making a decision, you said, is certainly the wrong option. It gets people stuck, right? One of the excuses for not making a decision is that there are too many decisions to make.
That's right.
Now, you're going to go there and try to do what you think is in the client's best interest, of course, right? But how do you help lead them to a decision? What kind of tools do you offer, especially at a time like this? All right, people right now are worried about risk.
Yes.
Okay. So that means they, especially if you're in retirement, you're not worried about, well, it's going to go down and then come back later, or especially if you're later in retirement. What adjustments do you suggest to people that help them hopefully make the right decision?
Yeah, you brought up risk, and that's a big one, So a lot of times what we're doing with somebody is when we first meet with them, if their idea is to retire, we want to look at their portfolio and see, is there something that we can de-risk now before you have a problem, before we get into a situation where you're drawing income from your portfolio and now all of a sudden it's tanking and we're compounding it because we're selling off positions in order to get that income and it's making everything worse. So, we'll take a look at somebody's portfolio and try and de-risk it a little bit before they even get in there. Let's come up with an income plan. Let's come up with a plan for some of this money to stay in the market, but knowing that I'm not reliant on this for an income or for whatever else it is, knowing that it's there so that, when the market goes up, most people want to see it go, 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 go. Yeah. Everybody does. But there comes a point where you have to tell somebody, hey, the market's been up a little bit. Why don't we take that? Because on paper, anything can be a win or a loss. It's not until you cement that by selling something off. And so if you're up a good amount, we might tell you, take some of that profit and let's put it over here into your safety pot now. So, you've won there. You don't have to worry about it going back down and making another decision of, well, should I keep letting it go? Or, oh my gosh, now it's going back down. I don't want to sell it now, but what do I do? So let's come up with a good plan and say, when the time is right, let's take some of that off the table. Let's shift it over here. We call it a protection rotation is what I like to say to my clients. And so, I tell them, hey, if we have a good plan in place, we don't have to make all these decisions constantly. We have this planned out into the future. We have this thought about, we have these things dealt with now so that we're not dealing with them at the last second and trying to scramble to make a decision. That's when people make the mistakes, is whenever they're scrambling to make a decision and say, oh my gosh, now something's happening. What do I do about it? We want to get ahead of those and plan for that.
Well, for sure, getting ahead of it. And part of your strategy, of course, is not having everything in one place, right?
That's right.
You talk about guiding people through investment strategies, smart ones, in fact, that give you income you're not supposed to outlive.
That's right.
That of course is not going to be all dependent upon the market going up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the way that we see it is I want you to be in control of your retirement. We don't want the market to make the decision on when you can spend money, when you can retire, how you can take an income. If you leave that up to the market, everything might be okay. But there's a good chance that at some point or another, something's going to happen. And now you're going to have to make a decision. Do I cut the amount of income that I'm taking? Do I risk running out of money because the market's been going down? We don't want the markets to be dictating how your retirement's going. We want to set up an income for you, like you said, it's guaranteed that you're not going to outlive, that no matter what's happening, you're taken care of. And then from there, everything else is gravy. If you say, hey, the markets are down right now, but you have your income, so don't worry about it. This is going to come back, And then not only that, we still have this other bucket over here that you can touch that isn't affected by the market either if you needed extra. So, coming up with a plan and like you said, having it in different areas, a guaranteed income that is going to be there no matter what's happening in the market, some money in the market that whenever it is up, that you take those profits and you realize that gain and put it into, your safety bucket that you can draw on if you needed extra money, but your market account is down.
No, that makes a lot of sense there. Having different buckets, right. Some exposed to risk, some that are not. And one of those buckets is going to be spitting out guaranteed income there. So with all of that being said, Stephen, if somebody's hearing this and they're like, wait, I've just been looking at my 401k and filling up bowls with my tears, all right? Yeah. Maybe they need a different strategy than crying about their old Vanguard account or something.
Yep.
How do they get in touch with you, and how do they go from there?
Yeah, please. I mean, give us a call. Our office number, 724-283-2806. I mean, you can head to our website at executivefinancialgroup.com. Listen to these podcasts. If you bump into me out in the store, hey, see if you can get on our schedule. We fill up quick, but there's always time and there's always room for people. But yeah, I mean, give us a call, come to our office, go to our website, whatever. Get in touch with us. Let's set something up. Let's make an appointment so that we can sit down and address any of the issues and the problems that you have. We'd love to help you out. And I know that we can help you in one way or another. And at the end of the day, if you have something, if you're worried about it and we sat down with you and your plan was completely fine, we might say to you, I wouldn't change a thing, but we're here for you whenever you have questions. If we want you to leave with a favorable thought of us anyway, and saying, what, this guy's looking out for me and he told me I didn't need to change anything. More often than not, we find that we can help people. But, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that you feel good about it, whatever it is that we do.
Well, look, you may have a financial advisor right now, and things may be going okay. Maybe you want a second opinion.
That's right.
All right. Maybe you need a second opinion, just a fresh set of eyes. Maybe you don't like how things are going, need a fresh set of eyes. Go to executivefinancialgroup.com or dial them up 724-283-2806 and have a conversation with Stephen and the team there and see if they can help you. Well, Stephen, I know, like you said, the calendar's been busy. We got games and trips and all the stuff you're planning for. Not to mention, it's just fun to get outside when the weather's warming up. So thanks for making some time with us here today and helping us talk through this just shark's tooth look at the graph of the market right now. And by the way, I'd say you chose splendidly for your clothing that you wore to work today. So I'm glad you're not suffering from that analysis paralysis, because you've got the Executive Financial Group pullover, man.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
You make it easy. You know what? I go in and I say, on a cold day like today, I don't feel like getting dressed. I'm throwing on something comfortable. Got a couple of branded things right there, so it's easy enough. I'm with some of those Zoomers. So
there you go. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable at work. All right,
That's right.
A pullover pretty much solves all the problems, at least for us guys. All right,
yes, sir.
Hey, it's got a collar. We're good.
That's right.
But he is Stephen Sabo, not only the fashionista, but also the financial advisor at Executive Financial Group. We thank him. We thank our producer, Daniel Salerson, who's been helping put this all together since day one on this podcast, and to all of you for listening. For Stephen and Daniel, I'm Doug. Thank you so much for listening to Next Chapter, Planning Your Retirement Story, and we'll be back with you here before you know it. Thank you so much for listening once again.
The opinions expressed by Stephen Sabo and guests on this podcast are their own and do not reflect the opinions of this podcast station. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Past performance cannot be used as an indicator to determine future results. Any strategies mentioned may not be suitable for everyone. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. Before acting on any information mentioned, please consult with a qualified tax or investment advisor to determine if it is suitable for your specific situation. This program is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to subject covered. Investment advisory services offered through Virtue Capital Management, LLC, VCM, a registered investment advisor. VCM and Executive Financial Group are independent of each other. Pennsylvania Insurance License number 670429. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charges as described in the annuity contract. Stephen Sabo and/or Executive Financial Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.